The gym was buzzing with energy that Friday night. The kind of energy that comes with a high school dance, laughter, music, and a little bit of mischief in the air. Everyone was dressed to impress, and the spotlight was on the popular kids. The ones who ruled the dance floor with confidence and flair. But in the corner, quietly watching from the sidelines, was a girl nobody really noticed. She wasn't wearing the latest fashion, and she didn't have a cheering crowd following her every move. She was the janitor's daughter, a girl who had spent countless hours after school sweeping floors and cleaning classrooms. Always in the background, always overlooked. Tonight, though, everything was about to change. A group of students, drunk on their own bravado, decided it would be funny to challenge her. With smirks and half-whispered laughs, someone shouted, "Hey, janitor's kid, why don't you dance for us?" The words cut through the noise of the music, turning heads. A few kids laughed, some snickered, thinking this would embarrass her and give them a good story to retell for weeks. But there was a spark in her eyes that nobody expected. A spark that hinted there was more to her than anyone had ever imagined. As she hesitated, the room felt heavier, like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for the moment she would falter. The DJ kept the music going, oblivious to the tension building in that corner. Some of the popular kids nudged each other, already imagining the humiliation that was about to unfold. But she wasn't shaking, and there was a quiet confidence in her stance that made people pause. It was as if she was daring them not with words, but with a presence they couldn't ignore. What happened next would shock the entire gym, leaving whispers and stunned faces behind. It wasn't just a dance. It was a moment that would rewrite how everyone saw her hand, perhaps themselves. Nobody could have predicted the skill, the grace, and the sheer audacity that was about to hit the dance floor. The challenge that was meant as a joke was about to turn into something unforgettable, and just as she stepped forward, the music swelled and the room seemed to hold its breath. The question lingered: would she fold under the pressure? Or would she leave everyone completely speechless? The answer wasn't just a step, it was a story that nobody would forget. As she took her first step toward the center of the dance floor, memories of long afternoons spent in empty school hallways flashed through her mind. While other kids were at football games or hanging out at the mall, she had been practicing in silence, letting the rhythm of music she played on a scratched old speaker guide her movements. No one knew about those stolen moments, the way she would twirl in a classroom with dust motes dancing around her, imagining an audience that didn't exist. It was her secret, a side of her the school had never seen. Her father, the janitor, had always encouraged her in quiet ways. He never had the money to buy her expensive dance lessons, but he had taught her something just as valuable: discipline, patience, and the courage to keep going when nobody was watching. "It's not about impressing them," he had said one evening as they mopped the gym floor together. "It's about knowing what you can do." And now, standing in the middle of the gym with hundreds of eyes on her, she realized this was her moment to show it. The crowd shifted, unsure whether to laugh or stare. The whispers grew louder, but there was also a ripple of curiosity. Nobody expected the janitor's daughter to step up like this. Even some of the popular kids exchanged uneasy glances, sensing this might not turn out the way they imagined. And there was a tension in the air, thick and heavy, as if the gym itself was waiting for the first beat to land. Her heartbeat matched the rhythm of the music, a steady pulse of both fear and excitement. Every eye in the room was on her, and yet she felt strangely alone, connected only to the music and the countless hours she had poured into her private rehearsals. What would happen next? Would she falter under the pressure, or would the dance floor become the stage where she transformed herself forever? The answer hovered in the air, electric and unpredictable, as the first notes of her performance promised something no one in that gym would ever forget. As she stood there, the fluorescent lights of the gym casting long shadows across the polished floor, she could feel every eye on her. Some were curious, some skeptical, and some openly mocking, but she refused to let that shake her. Deep down, she knew that this wasn't about them. It had never been about the popular crowd or their laughter. It had always been about proving to herself that all those quiet hours of practice, all the moments spent alone perfecting her moves, had meaning. Her classmates had no idea who she really was. They didn't know that the janitor's daughter was more than just the quiet girl in the back of the classroom. They didn't know that she had a talent that had been hidden from the world, a gift she had nurtured in secret. Even the teachers had underestimated her, assuming she was shy, timid, or simply invisible. But she had learned early on that life had a way of testing people, sometimes with jokes, sometimes with challenges meant to humiliate. And she had also learned that the best way to respond wasn't with words, but with action. The music thumped louder, and the whispers of the crowd grew into a mixture of anticipation and uncertainty. She could feel the tension building like electricity in the air, each second stretching longer than the last. A few of the popular kids nudged each other, clearly uneasy now, as if sensing this would not end the way they expected. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but her mind raced back to her father. She remembered his quiet encouragement, the way he had stayed late every night to make sure the school was spotless, and how he had always taught her to stand tall no matter what the world threw at her. That memory fueled her courage, even as the gym seemed to hold its collective breath. She knew the first step on that dance floor would decide everything, but whether it would amaze or shock them all remained a question. Nobody could answer yet. She stepped onto the dance floor, her shoes squeaking softly against the polished wood, and the murmurs of the crowd swelled into a mix of laughter, curiosity, and disbelief. Some students exchanged smug smiles, certain that this would be another embarrassing moment to remember. Others, though, leaned forward, sensing that something unexpected was about to unfold. Every pair of eyes seemed to burn into her, but she forced herself to focus only on the rhythm in her head, the silent beat she had carried with her for years. The music shifted, the bass vibrating through the floor and into her chest. She could feel the energy of the gym pressing in from all sides, the tension almost tangible. A few friends of the popular crowd whispered under their breath, mocking her behind smirks and rolled eyes, but she refused to look at them. She had learned long ago that confidence wasn't about ignoring fear, it was about moving through it. Step by step, no matter how heavy it felt. Her first movement was small, almost tentative, but it was enough to make the crowd pause. The laughter faltered, replaced by a curious silence, like everyone was collectively holding their breath. She let the music guide her, her arms and feet moving in ways she had only ever dared in the empty halls after school. With every turn, every spin, she drew more attention, not the cruel kind she had feared, but the kind that made people stop and wonder. Some of the popular kids shifted uncomfortably, realizing that this wasn't going the way they had planned. Whispers ran through the crowd. Wait, she can really dance. The tension in the room spiked with each passing second. The gym felt smaller somehow, as if her presence on the floor was pulling every eye, every heartbeat, into a single moment. And just as the music reached its peak, she prepared for a move she had never dared to show anyone before. The one that could either leave everyone speechless or shatter their expectations completely. The moment hung in the air, electric and fragile, and the entire gym seemed to lean forward, waiting for the instant she would prove whether the janitor's daughter was just a joke or something unforgettable. She took a deep breath and launched into the move she had been holding back. A combination of spins and flips so fluid it seemed impossible for someone who had been underestimated for so long. The gym erupted not with laughter, but with a stunned hush. Eyes widened, jaws dropped, and even the students who had dared to mock her moments ago could only stare. For a heartbeat, it felt like time had slowed. Every movement magnified, every step charged with the weight of years spent hidden away. perfecting her skill in silence. Just as the crowd began to murmur in awe, a sudden interruption rattled the room. The DJ, caught off guard by her unexpected talent, accidentally cut the music. The sudden silence was deafening. Gasps and whispers filled the gym, and the momentum of her performance faltered for just a second. That tiny pause was enough to throw the popular kids into a frenzy, some laughing nervously, some whispering about what if she can't continue. The tension spiked, the room teetering between astonishment and chaos. And then, another surprise, one of the students, a known rival who had made it his mission to embarrass anyone daring to challenge his status, stepped onto the floor. Asterisk. If you enjoyed this story and want more intense thrillers and suspenseful adventures, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share it with friends who love a good mystery. Your support helps me bring you more stories just like this one.